On the days leading up to then President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration into office, there was much speculation about what role outgoing President Donald Trump would play in it all. That is, if any. After Trump's supporters had wreaked havoc at the Capitol in protest of Biden's win in the elections, the public was on the edge of their seats to see what would happen on the inauguration day. It was rumored that Trump would refuse to leave the White House, even after the transfer of power to the Biden administration had taken place following the November 2020 presidential elections. However, it was then revealed that Trump would indeed vacate the premises on the same day that Biden was sworn in, and that's what he did. Just mere hours before Biden's inauguration ceremony started, Trump was seen exiting the White House in Marine One, the helicopter that carries the president. Moreover, not only did Trump refuse to vacate the White House until the 11th hour, he also straight up refused to attend the inauguration ceremony as per the custom in the United States. Instead, he decided to go to Palm Beach, Florida, despite the Palm Beachers' protests, who were afraid he might move into the nearby private club Mar-a-Lago as his permanent residence. Doesn't that seem a bit ironic? The same person who was against the president moving into the White House also had to face protesters who were against him moving in near them. You know what they say, nothing works as fast as karma. While Trump is not the first one in history to skip the inauguration ceremony, welcoming the new president-elect into office, this is not the only tradition that he has broken. When you come to think of it, the only tradition Trump did uphold was to leave a letter to the new president when he vacated the White House. Many believe this could very well have been a scornful letter instead of the usual note of congratulations and support, as Trump had denied acknowledging Biden's win in the presidential elections until almost the last day. Biden has confirmed that he did in fact receive a letter that continued a cordial tradition dating back to at least the 1980s. He also told the reporters from the Oval Office that the note was very generous. The president wrote a very generous letter, Biden said, because it was private. I won't talk about it until I talk to him, but it was generous. He did, however, decline to discuss the contents of the letter because it was private, so maybe it wasn't as generous as he said. Guess we'll never know. In the past, these notes have been used by presidents to underscore the significance of the job and the rewards, loneliness, and the hardships that can sometimes come. Generally, these notes put aside the competitiveness of the elections and offer the new president support for a successful presidency. However, while Trump did manage to uphold one custom of the U.S., there were many traditions he did not pay any heed to. The inauguration ceremony of a new president is a symbolic gesture in the United States, and it is customary for every outgoing president to welcome the new one. Not only that, but it is also tradition for sitting presidents to invite their successors to the White House. However, Trump failed to invite Biden to the White House for a meeting after Biden was declared the victor in the presidential elections. This doesn't come as a surprise since Trump failed to acknowledge the fact that he lost the election until January the 7th, when he faced some major criticism for how he handled the violence that had erupted a day before at the Capitol. 4 years ago, President Barack Obama met with then-President-elect Trump only 2 days after the election, and before that, in 2008, President George W. Bush had shown Obama the Oval Office less than a week after Election Day. When Obama pledged a smooth transition to Trump, he had told him, "We now are going to want to do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you succeed, then the country succeeds." Moreover, Obama had also, quite famously at that time, warned Trump against hiring Michael Flynn as a national security advisor because of his ties to Russian officials. The tradition of inviting the new-to-be president to the White House highlights the peaceful transfer of power and includes discussions of the handoff of the White House. The meeting usually involves the sitting president giving their successor pieces of advice and what the biggest issues they could face. Since there was nothing peaceful about this transition, Trump did not feel the need to uphold this particular tradition. And naturally, there was no tea and tour with the First Ladies either. Outgoing First Lady Melania Trump failed to carry out one last First Lady duty that involved inviting First Lady Jill Biden to tea and a tour of the White House family quarters. This was the first deliberate break in the 100-year-old First Lady's transfer of power tradition in decades. In modern history, there has always been an invitation. This goes back to at least Bess Truman and Mamie Eisenhower in 1952, says Kate Anderson Brower, author of First Women, The Grace and Power of America's Modern First Ladies. Furthermore, in an interview ahead of the inauguration day, former First Daughter Jenna Bush Hager interviewed Biden's daughter, Ashley Biden, on the Today Show. On the topic of Melania Trump joining her husband in breaking traditional protocol when it came to the presidential transition, she said, "No, I don't think they're doing the traditional protocol, which is unfortunate," she said, "but I think we're all okay with it." Moreover, it is tradition for the departing president to welcome the incoming one on the steps of the North Portico and then typically ride down Pennsylvania Avenue together to the Capitol where the inauguration takes place. Before Trump was inaugurated in 2017, the Obamas met him and Melania at the White House for a pre-inauguration coffee ceremony. However, these traditions were broken this year when Trump not only broke the 152-year-old tradition by refusing to attend the inauguration, but he also failed to uphold any of the traditions. Instead of the Trumps as per custom, the Bidens were greeted by White House Chief Usher Timothy Harleth, who was installed by Trump and was later fired. In lieu of attending Biden's swearing-in ceremony, Trump instead chose to address supporters at an early farewell ceremony at Joint Base Andrews. This ceremony featured a 21-gun salute and a military band playing Hail to the Chief. He then flew to Mar-a-Lago, the Palm Beach club he owns in Florida, and when the clock struck noon, signaling the end of a contentious presidential term that ended with days of seclusion after the rioting in the U.S. Capitol. Besides Trump failing to uphold traditions and customs of the United States, there was also some speculation about Trump holding a rally in Palm Beach on the day of the inauguration. So not only was he going to skip the ceremony, but hold a rally for his supporters. Many people believed this rally would aim to counter Biden's win in the elections and announce Trump's admission to the presidential race as well. Even though this was mere speculation, considering that it was Trump we were talking about, people were genuinely worried. There were reports made to check whether any such arrangement had been made in Palm Beach to signify a rally taking place on the day of Biden's inauguration ceremony on January the 20th. But alas, it turned out Trump had nothing of the sort planned up his sleeve for the inauguration day and instead quietly exited the White House ahead of the ceremony. However, President Biden thought Trump's decision to not attend his inauguration is a good thing. Taking questions from reporters a month before his official swearing-in, Biden said Trump's decision to shatter yet another norm of the American presidency on what will be his final day in office is one of the few things he and I have ever agreed on. Talking about Trump's much criticized handling of the deadly Capitol riots, he further added, "It's a good thing him not showing up. He exceeded even my worst notions about him. He's been an embarrassment to the country." But all in all, former President Donald Trump's exit from office was as unprecedented as much of his tenure was. Besides just missing out on the inauguration ceremony, Trump also refused to do symbolic things that sitting presidents typically do, such as hosting their successors at the White House, having a pre-inauguration meeting, and much more in order to signify a peaceful transfer of power. So if you thought Trump was only skipping out on the ceremony, which shouldn't be a big deal, breaking these 100-year-old traditions, he's doing more than just that. And that's a wrap on Trump is doing more than just skipping Biden's inauguration. What do you think about the relevant question to the video? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.